This is the story of an old 1980s trawler getting a new lease on life. The last episode covers the start of the journey, from living life on the water to diving into many, many projects. While we had a survey done before buying Caper, I now realize I didn't read many of the words. Wet boat. Leaks everywhere. The next big project was taking care of the teak decks. Like most boats of this vintage, the decks were held into place by laying the boards into a non-hardening glue and then holding everything into place with like thousands of stainless steel panhead screws. The screws went down through the deck boards, punctured the top layer of the subdeck, and were ultimately buried into the core of the subdeck. Now, I really wanted to keep the teak deck as is. It looked really nice, it gave a really nice vibe and feel, but the more I dug in, the more I realized that everything was saturated. The subdeck was totally shot, and I started in the stern and worked my way forward, pulling up the deck board. So unscrewing everything, ripping up the boards, cutting up the glue, and sanding it all down so it was flat before slicing open the top layer of the subdeck and doing the same to the core. I would love to say that I knew exactly what I was doing and this entire process was seamless. That is very much not the case. So kind of went on my own pace, learning as I went along, and I kept trying to do the minimal amount of core replacement and deck replacement, and it ended up being the entire deck. So all of the teak came off, all of the subdeck came out, and I replaced everything and fiberglass everything back into place. I think my favorite part about the whole process was seeing how nicely the new deck material went into place after it was templated and cut and glassed on both sides and sealed with epoxy and all of that. It just came out super, super nice. Everything fit together, and I was pretty happy with the outcome once it was barrier coated and sanded a little bit. Now, the exterior of the boat wasn't the only place that had teak everywhere. The engine room also did, but unlike the teak decks, the teak sole in the engine room smelled like grease and diesel and super dirty and also saturated. So after spending many, many hours scrubbing and degreasing and just getting rid of the gunk, the engine room sole came up as well. To get it out, I pulled up all of the teak deck and holly that was between the teak, and then I took a little oscillating tool, went all along the outside of the profile, and slowly but surely cut it out. And after more scrubbing, more templating, more cutting, more fiberglassing, and soaking everything in epoxy and barrier coating, it was looking pretty good in the engine room. Now, if you were especially perceptive, you might have noticed that the generator was missing, and we're going to save that adventure for next time.